Hello there, welcome to the episode number 6 of DevSwal. Today, as usual, we have a really special guest. He has more than 14 years of experience in the IT area. In the last 3 years, he has been focused more on security and everything related to that, to cybersecurity, and also DevOps. And well, no more than that. I want to welcome here Hiram Medina. How are you?
Hey, hi, good. Here, good. A little bit nervous, but
Nah, don't
all is
worry.
okay.
I'm always
It's one of
nervous.
my first, or my first talk doing this kind of sessions, and I am happy to be there. And let's go to talk a little
All
bit
right, perfect.
security and
But
some
but
narrative.
before that, I want to talk about a little bit about yourself. Can you tell us?
Okay.
I mean, you have 14 years of experience.
Yeah.
That's a lot. I think we belong to
Yeah.
the same. We belong to the same generation, I guess, because we kind of have
Yeah.
similar experience. But how did you get involved in the IT area and the software or everything related to this?
Yeah, I started working on IT since I was on the fourth grade of my professional
Yeah, on your
school
career, fourth.
and my career. Yeah. And I started working on a company that already is not more. It doesn't exist more, and because HP bought this company to start developing, and I start on that company EDS, and I start like a Java developer, and I was studying and developing, and there I got a lot of experience working with Java, and later I moved to the dark side of the .NET and all of the Microsoft tools, and I since that period I continue programming on .NET technologies, and it was from now to that date I spend all my time working with .NET technologies, and the last 3 years I started working with security in my last company. My last company was UST Global. It is a huge company dedicated to the IT consulting. And this was something weird because when I started working with security, it was like okay, I develop, but I'm not so focused in good practices in security, and I discovered that some of my code was were so insecure, and I started finding and understanding some of the good practices in security. And from now I have 3 years working on security. I got a lot of experience because on my team, uh, security engineers were the part of my team, and I learned a lot of from them. And they were more oriented to security, not developing, and it was like a fusion between understand all the security practices and from the developer side, and it helped me a lot to understand uh, security in development.
Nice, nice, interesting. So you were actually a software developer for many years, I
Yeah.
suppose. Based on that, but you
Yeah.
started on Java, then moved to the bright side
Yeah,
or
yeah.
dark side, depending
Now
on.
it's bright side, but when I moved to Microsoft, I said no, I don't like Microsoft, and it is that dark side. No, I
Uh,
love
it's so,
Microsoft.
it's so funny how the,
Yeah,
the perceptions, right? of
Yeah,
of
yeah,
right of it, Microsoft like some years ago was like, oh come on, that's kind of the dark side. It was too corporate and everything, and now
yeah,
it's all about marketing, right?
yeah.
Yeah, kind of. Now everything they are kind of more open. They let to
Yeah,
open
more
source
open
things
yeah,
and get involved in the new trends, right? But
right. You're
anyway, at the end, it's software engineering. No matter what language or stack you choose, it's software engineering, same practices. And in security, I think also applies. So it's interesting that you say you got involved in security because the way, I mean, you saw some vulnerabilities maybe in the code you were doing, or
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not
yeah, yeah,
sure.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah, yeah. Because
it's cool that you saw them because many of us just code and we don't care about
yeah,
security, which is bad. But
yeah, yeah,
you were concerned about everything involved with security in your development.
yeah. And this is part of what I am going to talk today. That it is a change on in your mindset, because as a developer, you never think in the security, and you leave the security to the last of your code, or all the process of deployment. And one of the good practices now in all the development and CI/CD flows is introduce the security since you start designing. Not I am not talking about the code. It is about when you start designing your code, when you start creating all the requirements. You need to have the security involved on those steps in your SDLC. And it is interesting that following those practices, you are going to have a more secure code and secure practices implemented since the early stages. And at the last, it is going to be more cheap to you, uh, uh, involved all the security since the early stage, because you are going to spend less time trying to identify all the vulnerabilities in future stages.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that sounds totally totally accurate. Uh, imagine not. I mean, I think security is one of the key items, right?
Yeah,
In general in development right now.
yeah,
Imagine the cost of having a vulnerability in production. That's too bad, and
yeah,
sometimes it's too late or anything. But so as you say, it's better to have a correct design and consider everything related to security on your first approach.
yeah,
Otherwise, you might face some unwanted circumstances in the future.
yeah, yeah.
So
And
yeah, go ahead.
well, this is the reason some of the companies are investing a lot of money to introduce uh, the concept of SecDevOps, that I am going to explain you
All right.
better what
Let's
SecDevOps.
let's go to that because I'm really
Okay, let's go to the main point of
exactly
the meeting.
because we have been giving too much introduction on security and everything related to it, but you are as of now, maybe I didn't mention, I don't know if I mentioned in your introduction, but as of now you're cybersecurity SecDevOps tech lead engineer.
Right.
So to us uh, who don't know so much about this subject, or to anyone that doesn't know, what is SecDevOps?
Okay, SecDevOps is well, everyone knows what is DevOps. Okay, it is the
Let's assume most people not know DevOps, but if we want to break it, you can start by talking about
yeah,
DevOps, then you add.
yeah, 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 yeah. Totally agree. Okay, DevOps is a process. Well, I think it is a culture change, and it's not a defined process because well, everyone can implement DevOps as they uh, wish, and I think DevOps is a culture change, and it is to introduce the development in the operational to do more easy all the and automate the development processes. And well, this is DevOps for me. And SecDevOps is the same as DevOps, but introducing the security at the beginning of this process. Okay, and what means introduce security at the beginning or in the DevOps process is implement different tools, security code checks, all the possible tools that is going to help you into introduce the security in all the stages of your development cycle. Okay, and it is including not only development, it is including operational, and well, it is going to be part of do a single process introducing security. Okay.
Nice, because there is another term that is called DevSecOps, right?
Yeah,
Which is,
yeah.
I guess
It's
it's similar.
different. Yeah, it's similar, but the DevSecOps is more oriented to, for example, this introduce the security in the automation of the DevOps, and it is more focused to pipelines, introduce the security into the pipelines, into the CI, into the CD, and the SecDevOps try to involve all the process and all the tools, not only talking about security tools. I'm talking about processes. It is more like a culture change, and the DevSecOps is more like a focus to the CI/CD. Okay.
Nice. So basically, in SecDevOps, we are putting the security first, I believe.
Yeah.
Nice. So yeah, yeah. So yeah, the order of the terms have to do, right?
Yeah.
SecDevOps, DevSecOps, etc. Interesting. All right. You told us that you have some slides to share that you wanna.
Yeah, I want to share some. I love the slides because it show you graphical all the security into the DevOps, and it shows all the stages and some of the tools that we can use. And I want to give you a brief description of each one of those and how we can implement these tools. And well, let me start sharing. Okay.
All right.
To give you. Okay. Please let me know when you can see my desktop.
Yeah, go ahead. I think you need to click on share again.
Yep.
And let's see.
Can you see my desktop now?
I think, yeah, let me add it to, okay. Yep. It's there now.
Okay. As I mentioned, well, I love this slide because it represents what is SecDevOps. And if you can see there,
Nice.
every step you take, I will be watching you.
That's the prefix sec.
Like the big brother, the big brrother.
Yeah, the big brother.
Yeah, in the SecDevOps, and that means that we are going to have security involved in all the stages of your development process. Okay. And if you can see there, we have the pre-commit, the commit, that it is the continuous integration, the continuous deployment, production, and operations. Okay, and we can define like DevOps is all from CI/CD to operations, and we are introducing an extra step here with the pre-commit that it is more involved to the design. Okay, and if you can see here in the pre-commit, when you are it is when you are creating all the design of your of your code and your requirements. And one of the main tools that some companies are including is the threat modeling. What is threat modeling? Threat modeling is create like a matrix where you are going to have all the actors that you are going to involve in a process. For example, we are creating, I don't know, okay, I need a login. Who, what actors are involved in that process? Okay, it is the user. We are going to have maybe I don't know, is the user, and we are going to have the login, and it should have different mask, and we are going to communicate with the server to get the right authorization, and maybe we are going to have an out process, and all the actors involved in this, you create a matrix, and you start creating your security requirements according what you expect from that login functionality. Okay,
That's the threat modeling, right?
Yeah.
So everything,
And
I mean, the name says it. Everything that could threaten the whatever you're doing.
yeah,
Nice.
right. You're right. And whatever you are doing, and all the all what is involved in your feature, you need to create this matrix, and it is going to help you to identify all you need from security perspective. Okay.
Nice.
And later we have another things like this is more oriented to the tools and to the environment you are using. In that case, there are some security plugins that help you to do more easy. For example, there is some tools. Later, I'm going to give you more details. There is a tool that is called 42 Crunch. You install a plugin into your environment for development, and automatically install some libraries, and you can check in real time when you are writing your code. It is oriented to API, to secure APIs.
Nice.
And if you are writing your Swagger file, it automatically do like a static scan. Okay, and it help you uh, before before do a commit. It help you in real time when you are coding, identify all the vulnerabilities in your Swagger. Maybe you are not adding a token, or maybe you don't have
Correct.
patterns in your I don't know, you are using you have the answer from your API, and you define what are the kind of inputs you are expecting, but you don't have validators. Okay, and
Nice. So
with the
it's like
pattern,
it's like a plugin that checks like the
yeah,
overall status of of your of your project or anything in terms of security, right? So,
and I am talking specifically to the APIs and
okay.
your Swagger files.
So
Okay, and it help you.
there can be so many plugins. Is this dependent
Yeah,
on where are you hosting? If you're using, for example, Azure or AWS, they will have different
yeah,
security or plugins.
yeah. You're right. We have a lot of plugins, and one of that I mentioned is this for it to run. There are different companies dedicated to create those tools, and as I mentioned, these tools help you help to the developer um, do they life more easy.
Nice.
Okay, and but this is oriented to when you are developing, because you start writing code, and maybe you forget about the good practices in security, and these tools will help you to identify all the vulnerabilities. And later you start learning about, okay, you learned that you need to include maybe a regular expression to create a pattern for the inputs you create in your you have in your the Swagger files for an API, and you learn to do that, and later you are not going to have more those issues because you are learning security. Okay, and you don't need to have all the security knowledge since the beginning, because you will start learning with these tools after you start using these tools.
Yeah, nice.
And the other we have peer reviews that it is part of the common security development. But
Yeah, part of the process, right?
yeah, but this peer review is tried to according you start learning security and you start involving in some of the standards like OWASP, OWASP 10, that it is like the basics security rules in your development. You start learning, and is try to include a check that you are reviewing security in the code. Okay. One of the things I have done is with the help of the security engineers, we created like an Excel file with all the checks, more oriented to the capability. For example, if you are creating an API, be sure that you are using tokens, you are using that are not live from more than, I don't know, some time, some specific time, and that you use patterns in your inputs, that you have different results and answers, uh, to don't throw I don't know any other kind of exception in your output in APIs. It is talking specifically about APIs, or if you can identify a cross-site scripting in your code automatically. And what we are doing is try to do more understandable those concepts to developers, and they start learning since the beginning of the design of, or when they start coding, to implement those concepts. Okay, and those
All right.
concepts are in the security coding standards. Okay, and
All right.
as you can see, this is more oriented to all the design and pre-commit when you are start coding. But we have later the other step when you do the commit of your code, that is the continuous integration of all the code you are developing. And there is where some other tools like the static code analysis is involved. Okay, what is that? For example, there are tools that I would like you to see later in the next slides, uh, that when you are do the your commit, it is doing a static scan because it is not compiled yet, but it takes your code and start doing some checks, like the plugin I mentioned, but it is not compiled. And
Mhm.
when you do the commit, it start analyzing all the libraries to identify if there is vulnerabilities. Okay, and one of the tools that I want to mention is Black Dog. This is one of the more common static code analysis, and it's oriented to For example, you have the code and it is compiled and it review all the third-party libraries you are using to identify if those third-party libraries has have some issues, and it give you, okay, those you don't have the latest version of this third party, you need to download the last version, because if you introduce this third party, you have different kind of vulnerabilities in all your code. And this is so helpful because it is something that you don't know, and you don't know what version you should use to be on compliance on security. And this, for example, this Black Dog, or there is another like Thunderbolt, that's do the same, scan the third party libraries you are using in your code. And well, it uh, uh, led you to have all the security in compliance. Okay, and it is not only about third parties. For example, SonarQube is an static tool that
Mm-hmm.
help you.
Sonar Cure.
Yeah,
I remember
that it
that.
is static because it is the code is not compiled yet, and it is not doing any dynamic testing. Okay, well, it's only checking all the take the code and start checking all the lines of code you have.
All the lines,
And
and checking if it's according to standards and everything,
right,
right? Yeah.
right. And well, this is part of the continuous integration.
Mm-hmm.
And the other ones is the dependency management. As I mentioned, Black Dog or Thunderbolt can help you on that to identify all the dependencies. And if you have a vulnerable dependency with a third-party library that is not secure. And the other one is apply all the security unit testing. Now, QA, it is another part of the DevSecOps. Um, is introduced uh, as we have the quality assurance unit testing, start creating testing oriented to security. Okay, and it is introduced at the step of the SDLC, and well, this is part of all the culture for SecDevOps. Okay.
Nice.
And later we have the continuous deployment.
Uh-huh.
Uh, it is when your code is ready to be deployed, and there is where is necessary to have a dynamic test security scan. This is the dust. And here, when you have already your code deployed, okay, in a test environment, there are different kind of tools that are doing all the work of create dynamic testing. How you do how those tools do the dynamic testing is create different scenarios, like I don't know if it is across site scripting, try to inject into your one of the your front end pages, try to inject different sentences and try to exploit this because the dust is a dynamic testing, and automatically it start injecting different test cases. Okay, it tried to log in and inject different I don't know, different password, and try to break your password and identify, okay, here you need to have a captcha or a multi-factor, or the well, try to it has different scripts and find all the vulnerabilities in a dynamic way. Okay, trying to reproduce some of the more vulnerable cases from from hackers. Okay.
All right.
And well, here we have other steps that we need to implement on this. Is all the cloud configuration, have security in cloud, because it is another part that we need to take care. And the security acceptance testing. What is this? As we have the security unit testing, we should have a process to sign off all the security on this step to do the migration to production. Okay, it is like the sign off, and this is part of the process. And you should have a sign off, as we have the sign off from the technical lead, that are all the and from the QA. We need to add a last check, including the security acceptance testing.
Okay. Interesting. I mean, I'm really curious about. I mean, I will have so many questions. There are so many points. How would you design this security acceptance testing and well, all this stuff? It takes some time to on each layer add the security thing on each of these points, right? I mean, you need to spend some time configuring the pre-commit, the CI, then the CD, and then put all the security layers there, all the static code analysis, the security unit test, and the acceptance testing. It is really interesting, but it just has its own complexity, right?
Yeah, you're right. For example, the security acceptance testing, I think it involves that all the previous, for example, the static code analysis is on green, that the dynamic testing is on green, and it is not putting all in some of the the application in risk. And the other one is try to create the unit testing and oriented to act like a hacker, maybe introducing different series of testing. I don't know, create, for example, one of the for APIs. I get the APIs because it is the most common and more easy to create security testing, and it's tried to act like the dynamic scan. For example, we created a framework using Postman. Postman has a way to create the automation of the some test cases. And what we use is some configuration files to introduce different kind of data. It is more like a manual testing, but it helps you to identify what you are expecting, because maybe you can create and design, okay, if that API is to get, I don't know, your age and the age of the users, and you pass, I don't know, in the input it should be the name and the age, the name and I don't know, maybe the date of the birthday and the country, for example. With this, you are going to get the age of the user. And if you are expecting that if you pass in the correct format the 3 parameters, you are expecting to have a result that it is going to be the age, and the age is an int. And you try to identify all those possible scenarios to don't have if you pass, I don't know, maybe a different format in, I don't know, a float or something like that, you are going to break the application, and it is going to throw you, maybe you can compromise the server because you are passing a lot this wrong data, and you are to compromise the server. It's try to think more create the specific scenarios and think as a hacker, for example, for cross-site scripting, try to go to the DOM of
Hmm.
your application and introduce a sentence. I don't know if, uh, with a, I don't know, open a window, and it is going to open a new window in your DOM that maybe can redirect you to a malicious site. Okay, and try to see those kind of hacking that are common and are identified now by the companies, and because these kind of vulnerabilities are present on, and you can identify those so easy, and it is not going to change in any of the language you have. That's the reason Insecurities created the OWASP top 10 that are the most common vulnerabilities that you should have. And those top 10 vulnerabilities are updated each year because, as you know, well, there are new languages, and well, they are introducing different capabilities, and well, that's the reason are updated each year.
Nice, interesting.
Okay, and well, this is like I mentioned. This is part of the process. You maybe you don't need to implement all those tools and
A lot,
processes.
a lot of them can be kind of automation processes, right? Or
Yeah, yeah, right. For example, the security unit testing, you can automate those because it is going to be similar, and you can create a set of unit testing, and the static code analysis, it is automated. The dynamic scan is automated. What else? All the dependency management, and it is automated. Maybe it is going to try. It is tried to automate all to more easy the life to the developers. Okay.
all right.
And not, maybe I don't know, maybe you are not having well, already almost all this in the cloud, and but you don't need to implement the cloud configuration or the I don't know, maybe you don't have
Maybe some things come already pre-configured or pre-established
yeah,
in the cloud if you use a cloud service. Maybe I'm not
yeah,
sure.
yeah. You, for example, if you use Azure, um, there is some ways to configure more easy all regarding security and all the gateways, for example, for APIs, and but you need to invest some time on this, right?
That's right.
And well, later, if you have, when you are in production, this is part of the QA, and it is to
Mhm.
security smoke testing. As we have security, we have smoke testing for the common development. We should have a security smoke testing. Okay, more oriented to try if all the, for example, if you have some roles in your applications, see if nothing is break when you create maybe a development, and or if you have tokens, that the tokens are working in a good shape. Okay, it is
All
it
right.
is more, it is similar to the smoke development and smoke testing, but oriented to security. And
Okay.
we have here one of the main, I think it is so important, the penetration testing, and it is a practice that is so important because, well, some companies are investing a lot of time in uh, do penetration testing in their systems, because it is you can do an internal penetration testing if you have a security department that is available to do that kind of testing, or you can contract an external penetration testing that is part of the standards to have your internal penetration testing and have an external penetration testing, because some clients expect to have the external penetration testing to have results on how is the system regarding security. Okay, the penetration testing. Do you know what is penetration testing?
Yeah, but you
Ramon?
can you can explain.
Okay, penetration testing is like some security guys try to find vulnerabilities manually, okay, and they run some basic test cases to identify if the application or the website has vulnerabilities. Okay, and there are some tools to do that. Those tools, what how works is do the request to your website, and it is start crawling all the URLs in your site. It is like a dynamic test, but it helps you to identify. For example, I get a request and I try to find vulnerabilities in that request, and maybe injecting I don't know cross-site scripting, and see how respond your system. And those kind of penetration testing is in production, and not in production. It is not a good practice to do in production. It should be if you have a staging environment, because you can stress the application and try to find vulnerability, but in a manual manual or semi-manual process. Okay.
Correct. It's like a simulated cyber attack,
Yeah,
kind of.
yeah,
Right?
you're right. Yeah, think and act like a hacker in
That's
the
right.
system. And
Nice.
the last, we have the operations. It is part of the DevOps. Okay, and here we should continue implementing in the operation penetration testing. The penetration testing is recommend that one by year, okay, at least, to identify all the vulnerabilities in the application. And that's the reason you could have one in your stage, and when you have all the operation of your application, it recommends to continue implementing penetration testing. And we'll have the continued monitoring. It is part of the DevOps that we should continue doing all the monitoring. And we have the threat intelligence. It is like a threat modeling, but it is refine all your model that you have, because if already you created this threat modeling, it is more oriented to have the same threat you have, but more oriented to all the operations. And this is part of all the how the security interacts with all your SDLC process. And as can you see, we have security in all the stages. In all the
Yeah, yeah.
stages,
Well,
yeah.
so this
And
is so secure. I was overwhelmed with so many secure parts in all the processes, all the security layers. Nice.
yeah. That's the reason. It is two terms. One is the SecDevOps. SecDevOps is try to involve the security since the beginning in all the process.
Nice.
The other one is the DevSecOps, that is in your CI/CD, introduce your security. That is in
Okay.
pipelines, automate, and the SecDevOps is more like all the culture of introduce security in since the beginning. Okay.
Nice, nice. I just have what is your opinion on what kind of projects would you think would benefit? Obviously, all the projects should have security, right? But I understand that applying SecDevOps like this graph you're showing is not cheap, right? Because you
Yeah.
need to put security layers everywhere. But
Yeah.
I don't know if you agree with me that there are certain kind of projects that you can apply certain security layers. Maybe for big projects, would you go ahead with the SecDevOps as big as you can? Or
Yeah. Yeah. As I mentioned, this is not like the Bible.
okay,
You don't need to follow these. It is the recommendation, but
recommendations. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. If you say, okay, I think with my, I don't know, with my dynamic testing and my static code, I am covering all the scenarios and it is detecting all. Okay, if that worked for you, apply this to your project.
Nice.
And it is the recommendation, but you don't need to follow this as rules.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, Definitively rules in your project.
That would be maybe that will be dependent on other variables, right? On how many
Yeah,
users do you have? What kind of users?
right.
How big is the data how important and big is the data that you're showing or displaying? A lot of things, right? Come
Yeah,
into
and one of the things is some of the companies are investing a lot of money in the security and implement this kind of processes because it's not cheap, but at, with the time it is going to be better to invest into these tools. And maybe if you have a vulnerability in production, okay, and because you never identify it, I don't know, in your threat modeling, that it is so basic and you only need to create a design oriented to security, and you don't have this threat modeling, and you never identified all the security actors and how you are going to implement. For example, I'm on the login. You implement a password that only have is an example, a long of 5 characters, and you never identified that it is vulnerable, and you detect this in production, and someone breaks your site and your password, and it is still a lot of information, right? And if you implemented this trend modeling since the beginning, or if you have I don't know, the dynamic testing, and it say, oh, your password is not secure, and you identify this in production, well, you are going to have uh, a big loss of
yeah, so
data.
big losses. That will be much more expensive, right?
Yeah, yeah, right. It is a basic concept, but there is another cases uh, that, for example, you don't have validation from the server side. It is there is a term for this kind of issues. Is broken access control.
Mhm.
This is the vulnerability in all the security concepts. You have a broken access control because you can escalate. For example, I don't know if you have put administrator permissions because you don't have validation in the server side, and you are breaking your access control. and later you can't modify. You put administrative rights to your account, and you can do a lot of changes and to into the application. And well, this is a broken access context.
Yeah.
And maybe if you created a good trend modeling, or you have a good dynamic uh, tool, you identify this, and you are not going to have that issues, right?
Nice, nice. This is really really interesting and really good to know, and to know we have this, and it's good to know we have these rules in place, or recommendations, not
Yeah.
mandatory rules, but recommendations for your projects, and you know how to deal with everything related to security. We
Right.
some official rules there, and or recommendations. This is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Let's move to the next slide. Move to only. I'm going to give you this. Is it more practical
Okay, this
and
is
how?
like a sample. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a sample in Azure, and how the CI/CD implementing all those concepts. Well,
Mhm.
related to CI/CD, how we can implement this. And for example, here you have this is a pipeline in Azure, and here you are the developer, and this is a pipeline, it's a secure pipeline, introducing security tools. And you have here your Visual. For example, this developer is using Visual Studio, um,
Mhm.
and or Visual Studio Code. And there is some tools that you can use for pre-commit, like Coverity, Fortify, that do some static scan in your code, and they help you to identify vulnerabilities in your uh, code. This is not compiled yet, but it help you to identify those vulnerabilities. And well, this is a common pipeline. This is a Git pipeline, and we have here development and master branches. And here we can see all the CI/CD. When you create in develop, you do a commit to develop. Automatically, you are going to have here. This is the development environment, and you can implement some tools to do the CI scans. This is white source vault, what I mentioned. This is for third parties. You have Coverity and Fortify, and those are the static scans. And Coverity use dynamic scan too. For the dynamic scan, we have another tools like AppScan. We have a lot of tools. Another could be NetSparker, and well, this is into the CI/CD. This is for static, and later you have the CI/CD pipelines where you are going to do the deployment, and here you do the dynamic scans. And it is where you can use NetSparker or AppScan, and what else? Some of the dynamic scans you can implement in your CD pipeline. Later, your dev environment, right? You have the deployment, and we have the same for the master branch. In that case, it's recommend that you, when you have your master, you implement rules only to validate that all the development all the development is in a good shape, and you can implement the same tools into your CI pipeline, but it is according it works better for you, because maybe you don't want to spend a lot of time, and you want to have all the chief left your security in the other environments, and in master do the basic reviews of your code, because it's supposed that you want to have more agility in the development of your code, and you don't want to spend to deploy your code to production, I don't know, 3 hours doing a dynamic scan. And well, what I suggest is try to shift left the security to your lower environments. And if you have all the validation in your lower environment, since the developers start doing the commit and in the development, you are going to have a clean code to be deployed to production. Okay,
Nice.
one of the chief left the security and leave the upper environments with the clean code from the other environments that you already implemented all the tools.
Nice. This is a great slide. I mean, this couple of slides you showed were really great. With a quick explanation and this example, I think this is really interesting. So again, anyone who has any question on SecDevOps or DevOps in general or cybersecurity, they can reach to you, right?
Yeah, right.
You can explain.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I am learning. As I mentioned at the beginning, I am learning a lot, and right now I am more focused to open source tools, because the company where I am right now, it use open source. All the environments are in AWS, and I am learning now some of the open source tools, because I was married to Microsoft, and now I am learning a lot of other tools and that are powerful and more oriented to open source. And well,
great. Well, I think this was a really interesting session regarding this subject of SecDevOps security, and which is your expertise. I would like to appreciate and thank you for your time, Hiram, and for this session. And again, anyone who's watching or watch still here, thanks so much. And if anyone has any questions regarding this or want a detailed session, you can always contact us or contact Hiram. I can leave your details in the
I need to send you my email, my personal
email and maybe LinkedIn profile or whatever, so they can contact you in case they have any or they want more information about this, because this is really interesting.
Sure.
But again, Hiram, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
We can have another conversation later on.
Yeah, sure. And
all right.
Thank you very much, guys. Bye-bye.
No, not a problem. You're always invited. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Take care.